Welcome to the Spider-Man Gamerverse comic book series. This is Comicstorian, where we take knowledge about your favorite movies, video games, and comic books, breaking them down into digestible bites so that we can read them dramatically back to you, making you the comic book expert. The Spider-Man Gamerverse is a part of the multiverse that Marvel created, and it's basically about the Spider-Man video game. Today's issues are going to give you the comic book version of the Black Cat DLC. Let's get right into it. As Spider-Man is sitting outside the Manhattan Museum of Contemporary Art, he tells MJ that her source was right. There's a small army of late-night art enthusiasts shulking around the place. Who knew the Magia crew was so cultured? MJ sits back in her chair with her coffee, telling him to be careful. If Hammerhead is really making a play to fill Kingpin's spot, and Spider-Man tells her that collecting art is a weird place to start. And it looks like someone cut a hole into the skylight. Just then, Hammerhead's men crash through the front doors of the museum with their cars, and Spider-Man gets to work taking down the bad guys. As some of the gunmen open fire, Spider-Man jumps back onto the protective layer of glass, stating that he's really thankful the security wall is bulletproof. But as Spider-Man webs up the goons, Black Cat jumps in through a hole in the wall on the other side of the protective glass, telling him, "Hey there, sexy new suit." She then drags her nail along the glass, asking, "What? Are you running solo now? Or maybe you're back with Red? Just curious." Spider-Man tells her that he heard that being curious was bad for cats. "Hey, stop that! Don't steal that painting!" She smashes a painting over her knee, catching a flash drive, telling him that she wasn't planning on it. So Spider-Man stops. "How did you know that was in there? And how are you involved in this?" She points over at the thugs, telling him that she'd love to tell him, but she's in a bit of a rush. And he's otherwise engaged, so see you later. She finishes by scratching a heart onto the glass, and then takes off back through the opening that she created. Spider-Man begins to think about how things used to be. You see, one night, a long time ago, Spider-Man was hacking into Kingpin's security when he happened to run into Black Cat, who also happened to be stealing from Kingpin that same night. Now, being a hero and all, Spider-Man doesn't usually make a habit of helping thieves escape, but he was going through some stuff at that point with MJ. So while he fought with Kingpin, Black Cat watched while collecting more things and, well, she escaped. And with a web catapult, Spider-Man was able to quickly snatch Black Cat before she got too far. He told her that they would probably just hit up a post office so that she can mail all that stuff back and pretend that none of this ever happened. She leaned in, saying to look at him, giving her a second chance. And then she whispered, asking, "Do you know what's sexier than a man who can keep up with her?" But before Spider-Man could answer, she told him, "Nothing." With a cute little smile, she jumped off before Spider-Man slammed into the side of a building. She blew him a kiss, telling him that maybe next time he can keep up. However, that wasn't the end of their encounter. You see, later, Black Cat decided to steal from a bank vault, and Spider-Man told her that she should probably put that stuff back. She swiped, tearing into his mask, and Spider-Man shouted that he just broke up with the love of his life. Give him a break here. He couldn't be Spider-Man and the guy that she deserves. Black Cat shrugged, telling him that this conversation is making her feel a little weird. But she does have some advice. She cracked him with a briefcase, stating that if this girl thinks that she deserves better than freaking Spider-Man, he's probably better off without her. Of course, he followed her outside. And just before he could escape, Spider-Man managed to web up her bag and take it back. She told him, wow, he could keep up with her. And after she wrapped herself around him, well, they kissed. Back in our current time, Spider-Man calls MJ, stating that he just ran into a bit of a snag. Black Cat may have been here, and MJ asks, "Really? Now?" He goes on telling her that he's catching up to her now, so they'll have to call her back in a second. MJ then hangs up, telling him sure. They'll talk about that later, though. As he lands on the balcony, Black Cat tackles into him, stating, "Hey!" But suddenly, more of Hammerhead's men come after her, chasing her down. Spider-Man says that she really shouldn't be messing with those guys. But as she breaks open a small statue and pulls out another flash drive, she says that she likes to play, though. He groans in frustration, webbing up the men, and follows as Black Cat escapes again. Once they stop, Spider-Man asks what is on those drives, and she tells him that she isn't entirely sure, to be honest. All she knows is that she needs them or Hammerhead is going to kill her son. Spider-Man pauses for a moment, thinking back to that night at Black Cat's apartment in her bed without his mask. After she disappears, he swings back home, telling himself that Black Cat could have a son. It's not a big deal. People have kids, right? He would know if it was... It can't be. Well, could be, but no. They were super careful and totally responsible. At that moment, MJ calls, stating that she did some digging on the Hammerhead situation and she thinks she got it figured out as to what Black Cat is up to. A few years ago, the crime families agreed to a joint accounting database in order to keep the peace. Put all of the assets into one place and require all 5 data drives to access it. Spider-Man says so Hammerhead is using Black Cat to steal them drives. And MJ finishes the sentence telling him to steal the assets from the other families. Hammerhead is planning on a get-rich-quick scheme while also bankrupting the other families in the process. Spider-Man tells MJ that she's amazing, and she sighs, stating that, well, she tries. But any idea when he's going to be home? Spider-Man looks into their apartment from a nearby building, stating, soon, real soon. He hopes. And with that, he goes across town chasing Black Cat, but he'll head home as soon as he's done. MJ tells him to take his time. She misses him. Goodbye. As the call ends, Spider-Man asks himself why he can't just go in there and talk to her. Tell her, what is he so afraid of? He didn't do anything wrong. But back in the past, where this all began, Spider-Man found himself being punched by Shocker as he attempted to rob an electronics store. Shocker yelled, "Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, everywhere that I go!" As Shocker walks in closer, Spider-Man kicks him away, telling him, because your kind of shopping involves blasting big holes in things and robbing nice salespeople at gauntlet point. Shocker punches Spider-Man in the chest, telling him that he's just going to have to kill him then, and Spider-Man responds to him, telling him that that would be first-degree murder, which means more jail time, Shocker. But just before Shocker could attack, Black Cat bashes him with a flat screen, telling him, hey, just take a step back, okay? Spider-Man gets up, checking on Shocker to find that he's out cold, and he turns to Black Cat. Nice. She smiles, stating that she figured maybe she could try the hero thing, since, he was so nice. No more stealing if he teaches her how to be a hero. Please. So later that night, Spider-Man takes Black Cat out on patrol, stating that they just came across some bad guys with guns. He's gonna make some noise, and she slips in and takes them down. Easy enough. So she jumps off, telling him, great, and then we'll get some cocktails after work. Spider-Man sighs, stating that they don't drink on the job, and then he swings into the warehouse, asking everyone how they're doing. With them distracted, Black Cat grabs one of the guns and begins to fire, stating, all right, hands where I can see them. Spider-Man dodges the bullet, telling her to stop shooting. And once everything is over, Black Cat asks how she did. Spider-Man tells her, well, your infiltration was good and no one died tonight, so I guess we're gonna chalk it up to a win. But after taking down the Vulture, Black Cat realizes that being a hero isn't all that it's cracked up to be. While getting ready to pose for camera, Spider-Man grabs onto her, swinging off, stating that they don't stick around for cameras. They don't do this to get famous. Black Cat says no, but it's a nice benefit. Who knew doing this would be so lame? Now back in our current story, not the past story, Spider-Man is chasing Black Cat down a subway, shouting that she can't be stupid, she can't do this alone. She hops onto a passing train, asking, why not? I've done everything else alone. And then she claws at some electrical cables, saying the way he wants to do it won't get it done. Hammerhead has her son, and she will take care of him. Spider-Man tumbles over the wires, telling her that she can't get rid of him. He's not leaving her alone, and she knows it. As the train moves above ground, Black Cat jumps off, running across a rooftop when suddenly her leg is webbed up, causing her to trip and fall. She slams onto the ground, but before she can roll off, Spider-Man catches her, telling her, look, we need to talk, like human beings. I know what's on those drives. You can't give them to Hammerhead. Let me help. She asks, what is he thinking? And Spider-Man then says that they need a few days and they're gonna find her son. She smiles, telling him that she really did miss him. Okay, sounds fun. The two of us back together again. Spider-Man tells her, no, not like that. She laughs, telling him, right. Big red. Shame. Spider-Man then asks about her son. Is there any chance that I'm the fault? But Black Cat cuts him off, telling him later. When her son is safe, they can talk about that. Now, let's go find him. Later, MJ is walking home after meeting a contact, telling herself that she just needs to relax. Don't blow this thing up. Don't pick a fight. She trusts Peter. She's always trusted Peter. She's just being weird and insecure for no real reason. But as she looks up, she sees Spider-Man and a smiling Black Cat swing beside him. And she sighs, stating, great. So a short while later, Spider-Man crawls through the window of MJ's in his apartment, stating, okay, first off, I'm sorry it's late. I was kinda hoping you were already in bed. But since you're obviously up, there's something I need to talk to you about. There's a thing that Black Cat told me, and it kinda shook me. MJ sits with her coffee in a dark corner, telling him that if he wants to talk, then talk. And after explaining everything currently going on with Black Cat, Spider-Man says that Black Cat didn't say much about her son, but if there's a chance, he just wasn't sure how to tell MJ. MJ sits back in shock, stunned. Oh, wow, Peter. Spider-Man says that he knows that she's mad, but it's not like She holds up her hand, asking, Did you know what it was like for me back then? Knowing that you had started to date a super sexy burglar like 15 days after we broke up, Peter? All I was doing back then was looking up everything about her and you. I couldn't understand why you were already over everything. Like, what the hell were you even thinking seeing a career criminal? I felt alone and abandoned and scorned, and I wanted to lash out, but instead I sat with it. I was the one who broke up with you. I wanted to be happy for you because I love you and I've grown up. I'm not angry that you dated another woman once, but what I'm upset with is that you didn't come and tell me about it sooner. That in your mind, our relationship is not strong enough to get through this. But before Spider-Man could answer, a call comes through the mask and Black Cat asks what's the word. Find the address? MJ gets up telling him, cool, tell her that we got the address. Hammerhead owns a warehouse down by the docks. I'll send you the schematics to your mask. Spider-Man gets up telling her that she's amazing. And MJ says, right, amazing. Later, as Spider-Man arrives at the warehouse, Black Cat jumps on his back asking what's the plan. He tells her that he's really sorry about what Hammerhead did. But Black Cat jumps off onto the warehouse, stating it's okay. Hammerhead is about to find out that if you mess with the cat, you get the claws. 10 minutes later, and several goons webbed up later, Spider-Man asks why do they all have the Sable International gear? This is some pretty serious stuff. The Hanging Man says, yo, this ain't 20 questions, I ain't saying nothing. Spider-Man sighs, fine, I'll just check the giant vault over there. Wait, no. Spider-Man sees an empty briefcase and a little cat doll on it, and he asks, did she just string me along? Suddenly, the vault door slams shut, and Spider-Man shouts, asking, was it a lie? Was everything a lie? Black Cat tells him that she's sorry, but she did need help pulling this one off. Spider-Man tells her to do the right thing, turn those drives over to the police, but Black Cat stops him. No, I've earned these. Besides, Hammerhead is the real threat. I just slowed him down a bit. As more of Hammerhead's men arrive, they charge in while Black Cat slips away and begins to open up the vault. When they see the drive gone, they call Hammerhead telling him that it's gone, and so is Black Cat. And on the phone, Hammerhead says to find the cat and kill her. If she's stupid enough to go back to her penthouse, I've got a little surprise for her. Later, after sneaking out, Spider-Man swings over to her apartment. He finds Black Cat humming to herself as she gets ready to enter. Spider-Man screams for her to stop, but as she grips the handle, she looks back. What is... Before she could finish, the entire rooftop explodes. Spider-Man rushes down to try and find Black Cat. It was a bomb. If anyone could survive that, it could be her. He begins tossing bits of rubble aside, looking for any sign of Black Cat. But as a pillar falls down, he catches it, shouting, she's not dead! As the firefighters make their way in, Spider-Man yells that there is a woman down there. Her name is Felicia. You need to find her. The firefighters tell Spider-Man he has to leave. Watanabe then messages him, stating that he needs to get out now. So, moments later, outside, Watanabe says, does he care to explain what the hell he was doing in the exploded apartment? Spider-Man walks past her, telling her, no, I don't care to explain, but we'll talk about it later. At that moment, MJ runs up hugging him, stating that she saw the news and she is so sorry. Spider-Man says that people will see her, hugging him, and MJ tells him that she doesn't care, she isn't letting go. With the supposed death of Black Cat, weeks came and went. MJ used her sources to figure out what's going on with Hammerhead. Hammerhead was using stolen intel and capital to blackmail the other Magia family heads and leverage the fear to take control of the city's organized crime families. Spider-Man and Silver Sable are now in open war with Hammerhead and his forces as Hammerhead continues to terrorize the city armed with stolen Sable International enhancement suits. With that being said, tensions between Spider-Man and Sable are at an all-time high, and there's no end in sight. So one day during a chase, Sable flies her jet through the city with Spider-Man asking what she's even thinking. She can't pilot that here. He lands on the windshield of the jet and Sable tells him to get out of the way. Hammerhead is right where she wants him. Then Hammerhead jumps onto the jet laughing, stating, oh, it's been a while, Bug. How do you like the upgrades? Spider-Man says that it's a little ostentatious for his liking, though mech suits are pretty cool. Hammerhead laughs again, telling him that they're gonna have to thank the cat for him. When he sees her, of course. Spider-Man flings himself forward, telling him, I am not in a flirty mood. I just want to end this. Hammerhead punches him in the face, telling him, all right, let's end it then. He holds on to Spider-Man, pinning him down next to the propeller, pushing his head closer, telling him that it's time to go splat. Spider-Man struggles to push his head up, webbing onto the rotors, pulling on it hard, shifting the flight path and allowing himself to get up. He jumps up, punching into Hammerhead, shouting, you do not get to talk about her! He punches over and over until the fabric on his gloves is tearing away, and Hammerhead stops him. What? You mad? Let me take care of that. He grabs onto Spider-Man's head, and Sable climbs out, opening fire, telling him that this is exactly why she doesn't do partners. Sable swings back, smacking Sable, telling her to knock it off already. And as he grabs a hold of both Spider-Man and Sable, he says, "Oh, this must be my lucky day. 2 for 1. Say nighty-night." But a familiar voice tells him, "Okay, nighty-night." Black Cat jumps onto Hammerhead with him asking, "How?" And Spider-Man is stunned. "You're alive?" She tells him, "Yeah, and kicking. What good are 9 lives if you can't burn a few?" Moments later, Sable's jet comes crashing down, and as Sable pulls herself out of the burning wreckage, Hammerhead rips through, stating, "I knew this new suit was slick, but this is just stupid." Black Cat grabs Spider-Man, running off, stating that she loves him and all, but he is way heavier than he looks. Like, how do you do that all the time? Spider-Man rubs his head, stating that he has the proportionate strength of a spider. People forget that. But more importantly, she's alive? Black Cat laughs, telling him, "Of course she is. You didn't really think I was dead, did you? Anyway, what are you doing right now with Hammerhead? That's a big mistake. Take this flash drive. It's everything that you need to know to beat the big ugly. So maybe now we're even?" Spider-Man takes the drive, telling her maybe. But as Black Cat leaves, she says that there's one thing to know. Hammerhead's head, it's not as strong as you think. A couple weeks later, on top of Sable International Aircraft Carrier, Hammerhead attacks again, stating that it's a real cute thing of them teaming up. But it ain't gonna work. Spider-Man jumps out of the way as another blast comes by, asking Sable if he can get some help here. From up on her jet, she says to just get him into position and she'll be ready shortly. So Hammerhead charges at Spider-Man, and as Spider-Man jumps over him, he webs up Hammerhead's head, pulling it back. And a second later, a laser fires, hitting Hammerhead on the side of the head as he screams out in pain. He then smacks Spider-Man off of his back, asking, "What the hell was that? I'm gonna murder both of you!" As Hammerhead tries to stomp on Spider-Man, Spider-Man jumps out of the way, telling Sable that he still seems pretty angry with them. Sable swoops in, dropping bombs along the carrier, and Hammerhead asks if they really think that the bombs are going to stomp him. Spider-Man swings through, telling him that it's sort of a fingers crossed situation. Low expectations, but they're definitely hoping. As Spider-Man webs him back up, he yells to Sable to hit him again, but she calls back that the laser won't be charged in time. Just hold him still. Spider-Man pulls back on Hammerhead, telling her, "It's not like we're gonna keep him here indefinitely or anything." Sable opens up her cockpit, pointing the jet downward, jumping out just as the jet goes flying into Hammerhead with a loud ba-boom. And just a short bit away on the wall, Spider-Man says, "Yeah, don't worry about me getting hit by the jet or anything." She walks up, opening fire with her guns drawn, telling him that she wasn't worried. And Hammerhead begins to crawl out of the fire, but before he can make it out, he finally collapses. Sable then tells Spider-Man that they're going to need to thank his attractive cat friend for the intel. Spider-Man says they probably won't have to. He's pretty sure she's out there right now thanking herself. And over at the docks, Black Cat laughs, stating that the man knows her too well. As the police arrive, Black Cat says, "All right, now that everyone's here, it's time to put on the big show." Across the way, Spider-Man helps the police load Hammerhead into a truck when he sees Black Cat jump down and steals a police car. He quickly chases after her, asking what is she thinking, and she asks, what does he think? She's thieving. As she races through the streets, Spider-Man webs onto the car, climbing up, pushing Black Cat aside, telling her, "I've had enough. This stops now." Tells him that he might want to slow down. They're coming in a little hot. And at that moment, his spider sense begins to kick in, but before Spider-Man can stop the car, the two go crashing into a barricade. The police surround the car, yelling to get out of the car, and Spider-Man holds up his arm, stating that it's just him. Sorry about the mess. Just having a little snafu here. You can go ahead and apprehend the thief. Black Cat, these nice people are here too. Well, this is awkward. He looks at the empty car and then turns back to the officers, telling them that there really was a lady in here, a criminal lady. Black Cat, you know Black Cat. But while Spider-Man is dealing with the police, Black Cat sneaks into the evidence lockers back at the station, stealing a very specific item. Later that night, at the docks, she makes her way counting the giant steel containers until she finds the one she's looking for. She cuts the lock, opening up the door, stating, "Oh, Hammerhead, you generous man, you. The combined wealth of all 5 Magia families, and you left it all to me. Involuntarily, but still." As she grabs a hold of some of the money spread across the table, smelling, and a voice tells her, they say cash has more filthy germs on it than a public toilet." Black Cat looks back, seeing MJ standing there, and MJ goes on telling her, "I get most of the plan. Help Hammerhead take out the other families, then fake your death to send him on a collision course to kill both Spidey and Sable. Run off with all the loot in the aftermath. It makes sense. The part I don't get is, Why did you need one of Doc Ock's claws? Black Cat tells her money. Deep-pocketed collector wanted it, and she had a handy distraction. But how did she find out about all of this? MJ tells her that Hammerhead had a series of shell companies that owned property all over the city, and from there it was a process of elimination. Black Cat then asks, what is the plan? Knock her out? Drag her back? MJ calmly says that wouldn't end very well. Fortunately, she doesn't have much ego wrapped up in martial arts. Black Cat scoffs, telling her that she guesses this solves the mystery of how someone so painfully boring manages to keep the spider entertained. And MJ laughs. Haha, right, my spider. Before and after. Black Cat stops her attack and tells her, well, the man has good taste. Credit where credit's due. Problem is, how are you planning on keeping me here? MJ tells her that she doesn't. But before the police arrest her, what is the point of stealing all this stuff if you never keep anything anyway? Black Cat begins to run, telling her that it's like she told the boy so long ago. She doesn't steal the stuff for stuff. And several thwips can be heard as Spider-Man webs a Black Cat, finishing her sentence. She does it for the thrill. Spider-Man then hangs upside down, stating, you know, we make a pretty good team. And MJ asks if it's weird that she kind of likes Black Cat. Spider-Man says, nah. Inexplicable likability. That's Black Cat's superpower. MJ pulls down Spider-Man's mask, kissing him, stating that he still likes her more though, right? And as Black Cat is taken away, she looks back, stating that it's so adorable. And that concludes the comic book roundup of the Spider-Man Black Cat DLC. Now, I believe there's another one coming out, but I don't know when it's going to actually be coming out. The problem is, with the pandemic, the Spider-Man Black Cat book was delayed for its completion. So who knows? Are we going to get another one like Velocity? Are we going to get another DLC explanation? Stick around, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll be able to give you more information soon. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.